Hi guys, I'm Reckie Lloyd. Today I'll be going over with you step by step of how I created the Iranian painting. When I started the painting, I did not do a recording of the beginning process, but I took pictures of my stages I went through. So I'll be walking you through the stages, and then later on we'll be watching the videos because I started recording a little bit later into the painting. All right, so join me. Let's get started. All right. So this is the drawing of the Iranian painting. I first start my drawing or my painting with a really good drawing, a really good reference drawing, so I know all my values and everything is gonna be in place when I start painting. So I have here. I start with the outline of everything, and then later on, I went in to do the shapes of my of where my lights are gonna be, or where my highlights or some values or some details in the faces of any painting I do. In this case, I did the outline of the lights. I did some more outline around here, of some more details in here. One mistake I made when I was doing this was I shaded the face a little bit. I don't know if you can see it very well. But I shaded the face, so that changed the way the painting started to look when I started painting it, because it was a little dark when I put the paint on it. And then I started drawing out some outlines. You won't be able to see it very clearly, but I did some outlines of the values and the details in the painting. Same thing, we have lights in here, at the outline of the lighting, where the light is hitting on the hand. And also I did the outline of the clothing. So I just did a lot of outlining, and I shaded some area. I would recommend that when you're doing a painting like this, you don't shade the areas, because when you shade it, it just changes the way it looks when you start painting. All right, because you have black underneath that area, and then you have to cover it over and over and over. I'll show you later on what it looks like when you start doing that. I did some with the hand as well. Same thing, the outline. This was a lot better. And then with the wrinkles in the shirt, I did some outlining over here as well. So this is just the first part of the work I do. I always do a good outline, a good sketch work, so that as I'm painting, I don't take too long fixing mistakes with my paint, because that takes time. You have to let it dry. You have to go back and let it dry again. It takes more time. So I just do a really good job with the drawing first, and then I'll go back with the painting, so that it helps make the work look a lot better. So the next stage is this. So this is what it looks like when you, well, I don't know if you can see it very clearly. It looks a little funny when you shade that area, when you shade the face black, or you shade the places black, and you put the paint on it. It looks a lot darker, and I didn't like what it looked like, so I had to go back and redo that whole area. I had to do the face probably 3-4 times. All right, but the whole thing is about putting layers and layers and layers on the painting. So let's see. I try not to do my lightest paint first, like the white. I try not to do that, because it will throw you off when you put the white in first. So like the teeth, if you put if you do it white, the other areas that you're supposed to do light, it's gonna throw you off a little bit. I don't know, it has something to do with how the eyes see it. But when you put white in first, you throw yourself off a little bit with the way the light look beside the darker tone. So because I don't have a white paint here, this looks lighter. If I put a white paint over here, this will look a lot darker, because you're comparing this to that. It'll look a lot darker, so I don't want to throw myself off. I stay away from the lightest paint until later on in the painting when I have my foundation down. So I went on to do a little bit more darker tones. I just touch up some areas, and then I follow shapes. If you see shapes, just go around the shapes and work on your shapes, do the shapes. Take your time, enjoy the process. Don't try to speed it up too much. It's a marathon, so it's gonna take some time, but enjoy the process. It's therapy as well, so just go through it, enjoy it, play some music as you're doing it. All right, so this is what it looks like when I had that first the next level put on. Now this one, then I went into make it a little bit smoother. Like I blended all my shapes. As you can see, I blended all my shapes, and then I started adding the white in there, but I didn't make the white the lightest of lights. I toned it down a little bit so it still doesn't throw me off. I'll add the lightest of lights at the very end of the painting, because painting is kind of like cooking. If you don't put the right ingredients at the right time in the right amount, you're not gonna have the same taste. The food is not gonna taste the same. And painting is just like that. In my experience, you have to put the right amount of things in there so that you can get the results that you need. So the light has to be tuned down a little bit as you're painting. So I did some blending here, which I'll go over with you guys, and I'll show you my technique of how I blend and the technique I use pretty much of how I'm doing my blending in this piece. Well, I'll show you just with a circle. Where is it? It'll look something like this. And then I'll show you how to blend so you can get beautiful work. All right, so this is the next stage. Let's see here. Same thing. I just went on and on and on with the blending. And then the next stage is the rebozo. So when you're painting, if you're using a reference photo or you're painting anything, try to find a focal point. A focal point is like where you want the attention of the viewer to go. So in this case, my focal point is around here. So I did a lot of details in this area so that the viewer can pay attention to here. Even though the face is looking good, everything else is looking good, but it's really pulling you into the rebozo and what the rebozo is trying to tell you. All right. So I did a lot of work, and it was just layers upon layers upon layers, which I'll show you. And it's just repetitive, really. Like if you get the technique down, you just repeat and repeat, and you just keep adding layers, and you get beautiful work. You just take your time, enjoy the process. All right. So that's what it looked like right now. And I'll also mention while we're doing it, I'll also mention. So let me zoom into the face a little bit. So now the face is looking good. It's not nearly as close to what I want it to be, but it's getting there. It's getting there. This, I'll show you a piece I worked on a few years ago. And this was probably 2012, 2013, 2012, I think. This piece I worked on in 2012, 2013. I'm not sure if it's very clear, but as you can see here, like my blending wasn't very good. I did not spend a lot of time blending. I was doing, I don't know what I was doing there, but the proportions were not good. The eyes are too far apart. The nose is too wide here. Like everything is not in place. So when you do a painting like this, it looks fake. It looks 2D. It doesn't look like a three-dimensional painting. like the way I wanted it to look. So when I went back to this painting and looked at it, I was not very happy, because I'm like, this is exactly what happens if you don't practice the blending, because the blending is a very big part of doing this kind of painting. You need to understand your blending, your gradient, and then your color. All right. So this is just an example of what I was doing before. Okay. The next step. Let me see. So yeah, I think it's the same thing. I just kept adding on to that, and then this part. So as I'm painting, I added some white, because the thing is already built up. I have my foundations in there. It's already built up. It's looking exactly like what I want it to be. I then go on and put my background in there. So I put my background. That's not the finished product of the background. I just put the first layer, because it's all about layering and putting it at the right time. So I put the background. It's looking good. It's bringing it out. And then I'm just I went in to do a little bit more detail on the hands, on the clothing over here. I did some detail work. I think I made a little bit of a mistake here. This is too white. I made it way too white. So later on I had to go back and tune it down a little bit, because it was too white. It was, taken away from the other things. But other than that, everything was looking pretty good so far. So this is where the painting is right now. We're gonna go over to our gradient practice. We'll practice how to blend, so you can get beautiful work and beautiful painting. This is not even close to what the finished product is gonna be, but it's getting there. All right, it's a process. So like I said before, this here, I hope you can see it. Yeah, there we go. So you can just draw a circle, and then you put some lines in the circle. You don't have to label it. I just label it to make it look to make it a little bit better for you guys to see. All right. And then when you're done, we'll go over it. When you're done your gradient practice, it will look like this. But I'll go over it step by step with you guys to show you what it looks like. It will look like this. I did this a long time ago as my practice. This one is another one. And this one I did it very quickly. I was demonstrating it to you guys, but then I checked the camera and the camera was not recording. So I'm gonna do it again with you guys, all right? So let's do it, let's get it, let's have fun. All right. Okay, we're about to start the blending exercise. You can just grab a pencil and your brushes, or 2 brushes should be good. Okay. I first just draw a circle lightly, and then I start going like this. I just do this to make it easy and fast. Do this. Do this. You can do as many as you want. And as you're doing this, just try to make your lines as light as possible, so that you're not painting over it too much to cover it up. Okay, we have that done. Now we're going to start with the lightest. We're going to start with the lightest of light. Oh, sorry, the darkest of dark. So it'll be dark down here. Yeah, it'll be the darkest. Pick one color. You can pick red, blue, green, and you just add black to it and make the darkest of darks with that color. And then you keep going lighter and lighter and lighter as we go on until we get to the lightest of light. All right, and you can do this multiple times just to get better at it. All right, and the more you do it, the better you're going to get. Practice doesn't make perfect. It just make you improve. You just get better as you practice, because you can always improve. If you think you're a lot better, you can always improve on that. So you won't be perfect when you do it right. You just get better every time you do it. So I'll do red. I'm just mixing red with black here, and then I'll go for it. Yeah. So mix it, put my first layer. When you're doing this, you can also, when the paint is wet, you can start blending. So when you put the first one and then the second one, as the paint is wet, you can just start blending already. Let me see. I don't have enough liquid. I'll just do it really quick so you get an idea. But this is what I do when I blend. I do this. Obviously, I do it a little slowly, but this is the idea. And let's say this is my darkest of darks. I'll add a little bit more liquid in there to make it, yeah. So there we go. Put some black in there. And you add onto it. Yeah. Just keep working it. Enjoy the process. Enjoy your practice. Before I used to try to rush everything. I try to rush and to get it done. Work my way through it. Speed it up. And if you rush the work, you're gonna have a rushed product. You're gonna have a rushed finished product. So you don't wanna rush it. Take your time. Enjoy the process. That's with this type of work I do, or with this type of art in my approach. I just take my time and I work through it. I try not to rush. All right. So let's say this is my darkest of darks. I can always go on top of that and put layers, but that's my darkest of darks for now. And then I'm gonna make my next layer. Let me see. Just mix my paint with the red, and then add the next layer of paint on there. Yeah. So it's harder to blend because I'm using the back of the canvas, so there's no primer on this. That's why it's taking a while to blend as well. But you can use anything. Sometimes I use paper to blend, or for my exercises you don't need to use a canvas. You can use paper, you can use a cardboard to practice. Okay, so this is the next level. Taking a while, but it take a while. There we go. And then I always try to work from general to specific. I get the general idea of what I want to do. I put it in there. So this is the general idea. Now you can see the two sides. And then I try to blend it in between. So here we go. Yeah. It's taking a while, but it's good. Enjoy your process. Yeah, just blend it in between. And if you already know how to blend, this is really good. Just keep practicing. You'll never go wrong with practice. Just keep practicing it. Keep fine-tuning your skills. Yeah. So here we go. I'm rushing it so it will look like this. You can't really tell the difference, but I'll add a little bit more red here so that it can start to be more defined. There we go. just building it, adding layers and layers. So this is the next one. I'll add another one, another layer on there. Okay. Next layer. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. And when I'm adding paint, I try not to add the paint straight from the canvas, from the palette to the canvas. I don't just take a blob of paint and put it there. I always try to mix my paint on the palette first before I bring my brush onto the canvas, or else you'll be painting like this. Because if you're painting a really nice detail and you want it to be clean and defined, you end up, I'll just do an example here, you end up painting it like it's here, the blob of paint is there. It's not consistent. It's not consistent. It just look like that. So try to blend your paint, mix it here first, and then you bring it onto your canvas so that you're more organized. And then when you're more organized, it helps the work a lot better. You work with more confidence. You work knowing what to do, and you go through your piece with a lot of confidence and a lot of and having a lot of fun. Because before, I'll be painting and I'll be so scared, thinking, how am I going to finish this? Because I don't have the tools or the skills needed to finish this piece. But to solve that problem, it's just learning a little bit more, practicing, and practice. That's how I learn how to paint. I just practice over and over. It takes many hours, but don't worry about the hours. Just keep working at it, and one day you'll have multiple paintings that you're very proud of. So I'll add the next layer now. Now I'm going to start adding white. So when you're adding white to this, try to use a different brush, because when you already mixed this with black, now you're starting to add white, you're going to end up with a gray red. And that, if that's not what you want, then change your brush or clean your brush and start with another one. Usually when I'm painting, I'll be carrying 2 or 3 brushes in my hands like this as I'm painting. So to paint a little, to speed up the process just a little bit. So if I'm painting with a black brush, or I'm painting black and I want to paint something lighter, I just switch my brush, grab another one and go for it. And if I want to switch my brush, grab another one and go for it. So like I'm more efficient that way. Then I'm not cleaning the brushes all the time. So if you don't have multiple brushes, try to get yourself some new brushes that will help your process. So I'm changing my brush here. And then I'll add some white into the mix. So now we have white. Yeah, so light red. It's not very light, but it will get there. So I'm speeding this up, so I'm not really concentrating on making it as clean as possible right now. But when you do it, take your time, work it through, and just keep blending. And also remember, when you're practicing, try not to over blend. I did that so many times, and I keep reminding myself not to over blend, because if you over blend, let's say you blend 2 colors, it looks good, but and then you want to go back on it and blend again and blend and keep blending. If you over blend, it just look kind of muddy. So enjoy the process, blend, but don't overdo it. Don't blend too much that it's gonna take away from the piece, because sometimes not blending too much is the best thing you can do for the work. Okay. Okay, so now I have to complete the two pieces, put it together, or put the two sides together, connect the two. Let me see, I have it here. And when your paint is wet, it's when you want to connect the two sides. Okay, so I connected the two sides. You can still tell the difference, you can still see the line, but I'll go back on that later on to fix that. I just want to get on the next part. So this part will be a little bit lighter. At the beginning, maybe it might not look as nice as you want it, but trust me, if you practice this over and over and you try to clean it up every time you do it, you will create beautiful pieces of art. It's all in the process. Just enjoy the process. It's gonna be, I'll say, a little painful at the beginning because you want it to look a certain way, but you're not there yet. It will hurt a little bit, but just keep working on it. And if you do it right, pretty soon your art will start looking amazing. It took me a long time to figure out how to properly blend and get my my work looking the way I want it to look. So, and sometimes this technique is not for everyone. Sometimes you might not want to blend too much. You might just want to do, lines or just play with the colors and let the sharpness of the lines of the colors speak for itself. That's beautiful as well. Because when you step away from that, the colors come together, everything comes together, and it looks beautiful. So blending and making it really smooth is not for everyone. Okay, so now I'm adding a little bit more, making it a little bit lighter here. Let's see. I hope I'm not blocking the whole thing. Yeah. Let's see here. Adding some more. I'm just making it very quickly. Make it a little bit lighter over here again. Yeah, keep going. And then last one is this. You just put white on the top. I don't have a lot of white paint, but let me see. I'll just put it down here. Okay, I'll add white because I ran out of white. Okay, there we go. Okay, so white paint. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. There we go. That looks good. I like what it looks like right now because this is just the first layer, and right away you can see the gradients, you can see the lines, which is really good. Now I'm going to go back on there in between those lines. Like, I didn't make it nice over here because I'm just doing a demonstration right now, but the edges are not very nice, but it's okay. It's okay. Now when I'm done with that, I go back with a dry brush. It has to be very dry. And then I work my way through the mix. So between the lines, so where the lines connect, I just go back with a dry brush and then I work it. And I try not to over blend. Now I didn't put a lot of paint on it, so it might not blend all that well, but you get the idea. Just keep practicing it. And you don't have to go through the whole thing to go back with a dry brush. When you're done your 2 layers, just go with a dry brush over it so it doesn't dry right away. Yeah. And then come over these 2. Let me see. One more. Yeah. This one here. Let me see here. There. It's not very clear, but you get the idea. Okay. Yeah, you get the idea. And you just... Okay. This is a very quick way to do it. Obviously, when you're doing it and you want to do it well, you spend more time on it, and then you get it done. This will be my first layer, and then you put layers. So over time, when you're done the finished product, it should look like this. It should look like this. All right, when you're done your finished product, it should look something like this, or like this, or like this. All right, you start with the lines. Make sure the lines are very thin. Work through it and enjoy yourselves. Have fun. All right, thank you guys so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon with the next video. Thank you. Have fun. Enjoy your process. See you. Thank you.